everyone, and welcome to part 2 of Rapunzel's Tower. If you missed part 1, I will have it linked in the description below, so be sure to check that out so you can see the construction part of this build. And all of the download links for this lot will be in the description as well, along with the link to the video showing my speed build, or I'm not sure what you call it when it's a cast creation. I created Rapunzel, and the video for that one will be in the description as well down below. So be sure to check that out so you can see that one. And anyway, on the build, we're mostly doing the decorating now. I went through and I tested this house fully. I had to make a few changes in the computer nook here, so it does work. I had to pull out the table that the computer is sitting on a little bit and move some of the decorations that I had put there. I had to kind of move those around a little bit as well, but for the most part it does look the same. I put a pile of books underneath the bookshelf, or underneath the, not the bookshelf, but those shelves. And apparently those were causing a problem. They're still in the build. In fact, they're just going to be off to the side just a little bit. But they are there, and just a few more of the little knick-knack things that I add on them shelves do just kind of, only a couple of them get moved a little bit, like that open folder that is next to the computer that gets moved because that caused a problem. And there's a few other little things, but it is fixed and all ready for when you download it. It'll be fixed and usable. I did test it out. The sim does sit in the chair, so I figure if they can sit in the chair, they can probably work on the computer. So I wasn't too sure, honestly, if I was going to be able to get this build uploaded. I am doing this recording on Thursday, and this is going to be uploaded, of course, the following day on Friday, and I wasn't sure if that was going to happen. I went in to test. I had tested it once before, which you see in part 1, where I go through testing the stairs to make sure they work. And at that time they do work. This confused me. I have no idea what was going on. I was going to test just, some of the rooms, make sure everything worked and things like that. And the top flight of stairs, the sim could not go up them. I have no idea what was causing the conflict, and I spent majority of today, this morning, and part of last night trying to figure out what had happened to create where the stairs were unusable. I even tried changing the floor plan a little bit, and even without move objects on, I could place the stairs. They went in just fine, no problems whatsoever, but the sim wouldn't use them. It was as if something was blocking the sim from going up. I even started messing with the ceiling a lot. I tried taking out the roof and putting up different roofs. I tried so many different things. I mean, it was really starting to aggravate me. I had no idea what was going on or what had happened. And I finally got it figured out. I'm still not 100% certain exactly what was causing the conflict, but all of the stairs and the rooms and furniture, everything is still the same as what you see in the video. Thank goodness. I really didn't want to have to go and rearrange all the furniture and change a bunch of things, so I'm glad everything was still okay. It wasn't the furniture causing the problem. I think it had something to do with the roofing, but I'm not really sure exactly what it was causing the problem. But anyway, but it is working now. Everything is still positioned as you see it. Those stairs right there, the ones I just got done enclosing, they're on the left, those are the ones that were causing the problem. They're the ones that wouldn't work. I have no idea what had happened. And like I said, I even tested them going up them stairs. I don't know what, because I turned constrained floor elevation off by this time. That way no roofing, walls, or flooring or anything like that would get messed up from the previous test. So I have no idea what had happened exactly. But it is fixed now. It's taken care of, and this build is getting uploaded on time on the scheduled day, just as planned. I am glad that I got it all figured out. So but back to the build here. I'm doing the kitchen. I really like doing the floor plan better this way with those spiral staircases. I do feel that we got a whole lot more room to work with, larger spaces. It's not quite so cramped, and I think it turns out much nicer. Now the kitchen might look a little, it might be a little questionable on what I'm doing here in the kitchen with the merging of the objects in the bookshelf and things like that, but I think in the end it turns out really nice. I'm happy with the way this kitchen turned out. It looks, I think, kind of elegant, and I don't know, it has all kinds of stuff. It's definitely different because we're putting this kitchen in on a cornered wall, like that angled wall there, so we had to fight with so many angles and things like that, and the upper cabinets just weren't fitting properly there, so I thought we could make the merge better by using shelves and things like that. And that is a bathroom cabinet, but I thought it went very well. I thought merging into the counter right here, I really like the way that turned out. I've used it before. At one other build I had done, I had actually put that in the bathroom as a cabinet that was and had double sinks, and I had that in the center between two sinks, and that turned out really nice. So just trying to figure out what kind of knickknacks and things that I could put in the kitchen, just trying to make it look a little more lived in. And then and then this those pots, I use them again. I thought it looked really neat to have them hanging from that shelf, kind of like you had like oh, I just lost my train of thought. Your pan rack or whatever it is that a lot of times you have hanging over your oven, your stove and oven. I thought it looked so cute underneath the shelf right there, like it was really supposed to be there. So just going through and doing some more recoloring. Now we're finally in the portion of the house that has windows, since the rest of the tower does not have any windows. I didn't want to change too much of the way the actual structure of the tower was compared to the movie. Of course, there are added windows more than what the movie has, but they're kind of towards the side and more towards the back of the tower. It doesn't get, you can't see them too much from the front, and part of the sides, you don't really see them. Like I said, I didn't want to take too much away from the actual tower itself from the movie, but I did feel there should be some windows, since this is a remodel after Rapunzel, moves out and gets married. This is a remodel of her tower, so it's to be expected. Somebody probably, they wanted some windows, so they added a few windows here and there, and so just went through and did all the recoloring for that. And just again back to the kitchen, I felt that it was a little bare, so I went into by Debug, and that's where I got those little statues. I believe they're from World Adventures. I use them once in a while just for little added knickknacks. I don't go into by Debug too often, but every now and then I find something in there that I want to use. And I thought a calendar would be really cute. And I used a bookshelf there. Now neither of these bookshelves work. I'm sorry for that, but they do not work because of the counter. But I thought that would add a little added knick-knack things, kind of like, I guess it'd be like cookbooks or something. And I just thought it looked really nice right there. Just added a little added thing in the shelf and everything. And I love that plant because it's actually a light. So even though, in this house we are all by candlelight, that flower light is kind of like it's under disguise. So it it helps light up the room, but at the same time it doesn't look like a light. So I felt, I could get away with that. So The color theme of this room is based off of the wallpaper. You'll see some more of the bright green and the maroon colors showing up. And here in this area, I was trying to do kind of like a little kitchen buffet or kitchen nook like type of area. And I liked putting the counter sideways like that to add a little added detail. But I noticed later that it's cutting through into the room that the spiral staircase is in, so I end up taking it out so it doesn't stay. But I think that turned out so cute. I like doing these itty bitty little buffet areas in the dining room. I think they add a nice little elegance, and that's where you put like maybe your teapot, or like right here I have the lemonade and some flowers. So I think that adds a nice little added touch to the room. And then I'm just trying to see what else I could do to fill up the space and get some bar stools in. So there's plenty of seating, even though this is only a 2-bedroom, so you definitely have plenty of seating and plenty of space if you want to entertain. This I end up just doing a small little sitting area. So again, plenty of seating, so you can have a nice party and have plenty of seats for everyone to enjoy their food that they're getting at your party and everything like that. So there's a rug that I put in that helps bring out the, I guess that's a lime green and kind of like a mauve type of reddish color. I think that's about the color. I think it's kind of like a mauve. I'm probably saying that wrong. I think it's spelled M-U-A-V-E, but I could be wrong. But it's kind of like a darker shade-ish, reddish pink color or something like that. But just kind of adding a little accents. Those little chairs got tinted this light pink, pinkish purple, I think, to go with the wallpaper, and then of course the lime green pillows to bring out some more of that wallpaper. I think that wallpaper was so cute. And I felt, since a lot of times you'll see that more used in maybe a kid's room or a like a nursery, but I felt with this being Disney and did the tower for Rapunzel, and it just seemed like the fairies would fit. So this here is a guest bathroom. That way they don't have to use the bathroom in the master suite. So there is, just a small bathroom here off to the side, and everything in this room works. I did test it. So they can even take a bath, so don't worry, I tested all of that as well. Now some items of course cannot be tested when you have your sim go in that don't live in the house. Whenever I test my houses, when I say I tested it, my sim did not live in the house. So not everything can be tested. I'm trying to think of some of the things that can't be tested. Oh gosh, I can't think right now. There's a couple items that cannot be tested when your sim doesn't live there. Oh, things I remember now. They can't cook. When basically I use NROS mods, I believe it's Master Controller, and it allows me to open up the lot. That way I can take any sim that I'm controlling at the time, and I can enter any lot, whether it's an empty lot or a lot that is occupied. It lets me actually open it up, and then I can enter it. So basically I open the lot up, and then I have my sim go through and start testing everything. I do that because I just find it easier than trying to do some cheats to get my person to have, because usually I just pick somebody, one of the townies, and I just use them to test it. So instead of using all these cheats for them to get the cash to pay for some of these lots, because I believe this one comes out to a price of approximately 95,000 simoleons. This is furnished, and so instead of trying to use cheats for them to get the cash to buy it, I just use the mod that I have to open up the lot and test it. And even though you can cook when you visit somebody's house, in the game, when you open the lot that way, with it being unoccupied because nobody lives here, you cannot cook. So I apologize if by accident a stove or a refrigerator or something like that is unusable. That is the one item so far that I have found that I cannot test. So I apologize if any of my builds, the kitchen area doesn't work. But you can test everything else. Like I can even go in and test both sides of this double bed to make sure it worked, because you know we have that angled wall right there, and sometimes that can cause routing issues. They wouldn't be able to get around it. So I did test that bed. The bed does work. However, I had to remove an item. You'll see in the build here that I put in one of those full-length stand-up mirrors, and I thought maybe if I had it wedged back far enough, you know, because it's the peak of the tower is right here, so all of this is inside that big roof area of the tower. So I thought it wouldn't be, you know, that big of a deal if some of the mirror was kind of sticking through the wall, but I thought maybe if I pushed it far enough back they would still be able to walk through, because it does look like it has quite a bit of space, but it doesn't. It causes a problem. The sim couldn't go to that side of the bed. You'll see here shortly I will be adding that mirror and you'll see which side of the bed I'm talking about. They couldn't go to that side, so I ended up just deleting the mirror altogether. I didn't even put it back into the lot. I just got rid of it. Right here it is. I'm going to be putting the mirror in right here. I thought maybe if I pushed it far enough back or wedged it in there that it'd be okay, but it's not. So that gets removed. That's the only part of any furniture that is getting removed, is that. Now this is a small bathroom, and believe it or not, in an itty bitty little turret like this, you can have a full functional bathroom. Everything in this room does work. I have created these before in my personal games, so I did know prior, when I was thinking on my floor plan, I did know that I could put a bathroom there. So but of course I did test it. I always want to make sure that I may have done it once before, but you never know, you might do something a little bit different than you did before, and I just like to always try to test things just to make sure. But everything does work. They can use the tub. I wasn't too sure. It's hard to say sometimes when you put a piece of furniture that close to the faucet part of the tub on whether or not they'd still be able to use it, but they can. So that's good, because I like doing these itty bitty little bathrooms like this inside of a turret. I think they look so cute. So I'm just trying to figure out, you know, a few little things I can add to you know, just kind of make the bathroom a little bit more homey and give your Sims a nice moodlet for nicely decorated. I always try to get, you know, the nicely decorated moodlet for the sim for every room they go in. But occasionally the bathroom, sometimes I don't get that. I don't get enough stuff in the bathroom to give the nice moodlets. So sometimes, you know, occasionally your sim isn't going to have a nicely decorated moodlet, but majority of the time in my builds where I'm not having a price limit, it will well, I'm sorry if you can hear that. That's one of my kitties. She is, we call her Hemi, and if you're wondering, yes, she is named after the Dodge Hemi engine. She has a little bit of a story behind it. She is 3 years old. She's an orange tiger, and I call her my little redhead because she has a temper and she is so mouthy. She was just coming in here talking. But yeah, she has a little bit of a story behind where her name came from. But you know, we can always talk about that maybe another time, since you know, I would say something just in case you heard her meowing. She's very vocal. We have 4 cats here, and all of them are vocal. We got lucky and had 4 cats, and they all just love to talk. So, but anyway, I have no idea what I was talking about before she walked in. I'm sorry. I apologize for that. I have no idea what I was talking about, but we're almost done with this build. We're going through. Now this is just a little sitting area. It was a pretty good sized landing, and I didn't really want to leave it blank. So there's just a few bookshelves and some chairs, you know, kind of like a little, another one of those reading nooks. I know we already have a library in this house, but you can't have too many libraries, you know. I mean, if your Sims houses are ever like mine and you end up having anywhere from 10 to 15 Sims in your household, which I have done before multiple times, you need as many sitting areas as you can. So whenever I have an empty space like this, it usually turns into some kind of sitting area. So but that railing right there was just kind of like for safety reasons visually, because I know Sims can't fall down the stairs or anything, but visually it looks like, you know, it would be safe for your Sim to sit in that chair. You don't have to worry about the chair sliding over somehow and falling down those stairs. So, and I just added a little plant there to help take up that space. I had a bare spot, so. And I'm just adding a little bit more stuff in the dining room. I don't know why I all of a sudden decided to come back down here. And I actually put in a trash bin. I was so proud of myself. I actually remembered one of those little bins. You know, I never use them in my games, so when I build, I don't think about it. I just start building and I never think about that itty bitty little trash bin. I actually got one in. And I thought, you know, shutters would look cute. We should do shutters around the rest, you know, the tower, because you know, back in the day when they would have remodeled this tower, they would have used shutters at that time to close their windows, because technically they wouldn't have, I mean, they would have had some glass, but it wasn't that common. A lot of times they just had shutters to shut their windows. So I was trying to, you know, I mean, I know this is remodeled and it has a lot of updated things, but the story behind this tower is it was remodeled, it was left empty after Rapunzel left, and then so many years later it got remodeled, and only some stuff is modeled, you know, remodeled up to date. Like there's only a few outlets, as I'm saying, you know, in the rooms, and that's why everything is by candlelight and things like that. So but anyway, that little tree that I put in the picture that I use and in the movie, there's actually this little tree that hangs over next to the small little creek or river, I guess. I'm not sure what you would call it. It's not very big, so it's probably just some kind of like little creek that runs past the tower there. But there's this little tree actually that sits right there hanging over the creek. So in the movie, I don't know, you know, if you haven't watched the movie, it is a very good movie. I like it. I've even thought about while I was building this of watching the movie again because I did enjoy it. But there really isn't a lot of landscaping or trees. It's actually out in the open with nothing there. Like you have, I believe, a waterfall in the background and I think some cliffs and things like that. But the trees and everything are kind of far away. It's really out in the open. So I thought, well, I didn't want to leave it bare. And since we're already having the story where it's remodeled and this is, you know, several years later, then you would have some landscaping now, and some of your trees that would have been planted a long time ago when it got remodeled would be larger and taller. So I thought that would, you know, would go very well with the story that we were doing by having, you know, a little, not too much landscaping, but a little added. And of course you have to have the parts of the landscaping that are in the movie, like the creek, and there would have been a few rocks, you know, here and there in the creek probably. and of course that one tree hanging over, you have to have that tree. So that's, so that's why the landscaping is very minimal. I didn't want to overdo it, and I didn't want to fill that creek in full of big boulders because I didn't feel that that would look right. So now I did put this on kind of a small lot, just big enough to hold the creek and the tower. You could very well put this on a larger lot and maybe even create kind of like a cliff on the other side of this creek is actually a cliff. In the movie and in the pictures and stuff that you will find, you'll see that there's a cliff over there on the other side of that creek. If you put this on a large enough lot, you might be able to recreate more of the scenery, or what, the area that the tower actually sat in. But I prefer a lot of times to have my stuff on smaller lots. That way it always leaves the option to be able to move it to a larger lot, because in The Sims 3 you can't take a large lot and put it on a small lot. So sometimes I prefer just to keep my lots minimal and keep them small. That way anybody can put it on a larger lot if they desired and do more with their lot. They always have that option to do that. So we're going into the screenshots here. I didn't realize when I placed this lot, actually it fits in very well, because you got the mountainy type of landscaping in the background. So it kind of goes very well, I thought. So in the creek, I think the creek turned out so nice in those pictures. It really looks like there's a creek going by. So I really like this build. And I hope you enjoyed it as well. And I love hearing seeing your guys' comments on my builds when I upload them and stuff to my sites, and I am very thankful for all of you. I look forward to seeing your comments on here and on the other websites when I upload them, and on everywhere else that I post. So thank you very much for all that. I truly appreciate it. And like I said, all the links for this build will be down below in the description below, along with part 1. And of course Rapunzel's creation will be down there as well. So I will leave you to the rest of the screenshots, and I will see you next time. Thank you. Bye.